Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Fred Lokken joins us, professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers Goes to Washington is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. NV Energy. NV Energy proudly serves Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, offering the highest level of care in Nevada.
Big R is Northern Nevada's #1 Golden Fire wood pellet supplier. More heat, less ash, 100% natural, and no additives. And there's only one place that stocks this many wood pellets, and that's Big R in Sparks, Winnemucca, Fallon, Fernley, and Lovelock. A river of wood pellets at Big R.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Fantastic cocktails and delicious food. It's a good time to eat. Over 500 hot slots, plus electronic table games.
It's a good time to play.
Player rewards and big-time jackpots.
It's a good time to win.
Ooh, your good times are Tamarack.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Fred Lokken. He is a professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College. We are taping this on the morning of October 16th, so people have a time frame of what's going on. It was interesting to watch President Biden on 60 Minutes last night. It seemed to me that he was totally in charge of the issues, but he also looked his age. And the weight of all the things that are going on now just makes it incredibly tough, I think, for somebody of that age. But as I say, he was in command of all the issues. There was no problem there. It was just tough to watch.
Yeah, it's not so much an acuity issue. I think that certainly there have been those who want to make that issue. We all make mistakes, and politicians have been legendary. Certainly Donald Trump is very good at doing any number of mistakes. But I think people are wanting to see anything that is the evidence that he is just too old for the job. And it does beg the question, because the front runner for the Republicans is only 4 years younger. So we have a very odd political reality that we've been dealing with. In these parties, we don't seem to have a plan B. And I think that under the circumstances right now, with the crisis that we are dealing with in the Middle East, we couldn't have a more experienced president in the role with nearly 40 years of foreign policy experience out of the Senate. Absolutely.
And that's why I made the point that it wasn't what he was saying. It was the fact that, I mean, he is the age he is, as we all are. And, at the end of a second term, he'd be 86. It just gives me pause. Another thing that occurs to me is that wouldn't it be great if we didn't have primaries, because that way everybody could actually say what they really think and mean from the beginning, as against having to move toward the middle, once the primaries are over, and then we would really know more about what they were saying.
Well, and that's the issue. The primaries are such a disconnect from reality. They are so extreme one way or the other. Many voters look at the fall slate and say, where did this come from? I don't relate to this. And it is really a major breakdown. To begin with, voters don't usually make a decision to participate, like in the November presidential election, until about a week to 14 days out, right? So they're really, all of us junkies.
How does that happen?
Because they hate politics.
I know, but what planet are you living on in the presidential election to not have at least thought about it? But you're right. I mean, that's why all the money is being spent, and especially in the last couple of weeks of the election cycle, TV stations love it because they make a fortune, radio stations, cable companies. But I just can't imagine waking up on election day going, gee, let me look at this. There's an election today. I think I'll go vote. Who am I going to vote for? It stuns me.
And a third of our voters decide not to participate. I mean, in a presidential election, which is one of the worst in modern democracies. But you look at the process; it wears us down. You know, we go out of our way to make our public hate politics. The campaigns are so long. There's so much money. It's criminal, the amount of money that is in our national elections. We allow polling pretty much up until the day of the election, whereas other democracies limit the length of their campaign, publicly finance it, and basically do not allow that polling. Polling is only designed to try to influence the voters either to stay home or come out. It's weaponized now. And I think we always talk about our faith in the electorate. The electorate knows this is stupid. The electorate's offended by it. They're downright insulted by it. As my students have told me many times, they feel downright dirty about even getting interested in politics. So we've created a monster, and we either have to fix it or we're not going to be around that much longer.
All right. Well, I'm going to dispute whether we're going to be around a little bit longer. But if you take the money out of politics at this point in time, you take out a huge multi-billion-dollar industry.
Exactly.
The unemployment rate would rise significantly. I mean, I'm joking in a way, but I'm also totally serious. I mean, it is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry.
To the point of $25 billion were spent on elections in 2022. For the federal races. That is an amazing dollar figure.
And that's chump change by what's going to be spent this time, because it's only going to be larger.
And we also we allow that money, the dark money. We allow the PAC money. When we look at our own Senate campaigns, we know whatever they raise, at least that much is being spent on their behalf. As others from outside your state, try to influence you to vote a certain way. It's a very toxic voting environment.
I was sitting with Democratic media buyers in D.C., who I've been friends with for years. And we were talking about Sisolak's race against Lombardo. And I said what was amazing was that Sisolak had $15 million. And I always think back to Kenny Gwynn when he had $3 million, and everybody said, oh my goodness, that's such a large number. Nobody's going to run against him. They can't raise that amount of money. And one of the media buyers looked at me and said, $15 million in Nevada? Not really that much money. That's stunning. Yeah. We have 2 media markets.
I know, but we've been this state, right? I mean, we garner the national attention, and that really draws money to it. Even for a simple ballot issue concerning partial open primary and a ranked choice voting, they spent $22 million from out of state just to get it through the first time, and the anticipation will be probably $35 million now to try to get it approved. That's a lot of money coming from outside the state.
Okay, you want to hear my favorite lot of money story?
Yeah.
Okay, so Super Bowl commercial in Las Vegas, political rate. Just Las Vegas, not for the whole country, just Las Vegas. How much do you think it's going to cost this year? This coming year?
Oh, $2 billion?
No. Oh. $250,000.
Oh, okay.
That's a really big down payment on a new house.
Yes, it is.
It's one commercial.
And it's probably only 30 seconds.
Of course it's only
partial,
30 seconds.
Yep.
I mean, somebody could buy a minute and it would be $500,000. But I mean, the idea that a spot that you would normally pay, and you would pay several $1,000s, I mean, it wouldn't be an inexpensive commercial at any time, but $250,000. That's a stunning amount of money.
How do you get return on investment there? But you do. You have ultimate exposure.
Well, you get ultimate exposure, but at the same time, and this is the argument I'm having with myself and everybody else, which is that politics is run by people who run political campaigns who are not marketing people. Marketing people because I'm a marketing guy as well as running this show. I have an advertising agency, so I work on behalf of clients. I would never spend that kind of money on one commercial, because what you need in commercial advertising is frequency. So I'm looking for the best deal to get the most exposure at the most opportune times for my clients. In political campaigns, it's how do we spend all this money?
And they have so much to spend. And as you say, one of the beauties of the state is its concentration of markets. That's why so much money comes into the state from elsewhere, because you're having impact. You're hitting 95% of the population.
Right, but my point is, you're not doing marketing. You're not saying, okay, in sales, if I say to you, give me money, okay, your response is going to be no. If I say to you, I can help you make money, your response is going to be, tell me more. But we don't do that with political campaigns. I mean, I'm speaking metaphorically, of course, but it's more about, well, that guy's a horrible person, and that guy's a horrible person, and no, they're even worse. And we don't talk about anything that benefits the ultimate, target of this, which is the voter. How is this going to benefit the voter? We don't tell them that. We just tell them how horrible everybody is.
And they're pretty much offended at the amount of money that's being spent. I mean, they can sense, they don't know the dollar figures, but they know they're seeing all these ads just over and over and over again. Although, again, Nevada is one of the unique states that gets bombarded like that. You can actually travel elsewhere in the country and not see nearly as much money.
Right, if they're not a battleground state. Yeah. But yeah, it's just fascinating to me. I think that if political campaigns would turn themselves into marketing campaigns, where they're advertising the product, i.e. the candidate, they might be much more successful in their outcomes than they are by she's no good, he's no good, they're terrible, they're horrible, they're worse. I mean, it's just not a saleable message.
Well, they've known that since the 1960s, right? Joe McGinnis's Selling of the President with Richard Nixon, going to Madison Avenue for the first time. It's just that they never anticipated all this money that would flow into politics. It's just coming. It comes like waves. They don't even have to work really hard. It's like a money-making machine to get these donations in, and then they create large staffs and they start pouring out all these ads. But it takes a toll on the voter again. I think we're doing a lot of damage to the voting process with these high-budget campaigns.
All right, I'm not talking about a partisan issue here. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that when Ronald Reagan did Morning in America, and he taught, and our good friend Sig Rogich, or my good friend, I should say, I didn't got you in there, but my good friend Sig Rogich helped run that campaign. And it gave people in America a feeling of positive nature about our country and about where we could be. And I think that that's what's missing, because that was a marketing campaign.
Yeah. Well, and we go negative, right? And then I seem to have to respond to the negatives, and we just wallow in that spot. But that was a famous ad, and they played it a lot because we were still coming out of the Carter years, the malaise of the 70s. And Reagan was the person that put that positive look on government and on his role in government, and that ad really scored for them. They had an overwhelming victory in 1984.
Okay, last campaign, your favorite ad. One that stuck out to you the most.
I didn't like any of them.
Zach Conine's.
What?
Where he broke the fourth wall.
Oh, I didn't see it.
You didn't see that one?
No.
He just broke in and said, go away, Mr. Announcer Voice. Go back and look at it. It was a brilliant ad, and it was the only one that for me was memorable. But anyway, we'll change topics. We got lots of other things to talk about. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Fred Lokken. He's the professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College. The return of John Lee taking on Stephen Horsford. John's going to be on the program in a couple of weeks. He's currently on vacation in Africa and heading back here. Very successful mayor of North Las Vegas and quite popular in that role. But didn't do well in the governor's race. Interesting to see what happens in CD4.
I know, much less the rise of Horsford. I mean, his national leadership role is,
yes.
you know, he's really being showcased over and over, leading the Black Caucus. Relatively, you know, from a Northern Nevada point of view, we really don't know Horsford or Lee, and of course it is for a House
That's
seat.
why you watch Nevada Newsmakers.
I know, but Horsford, I think, has always run a different kind of campaign. I think people who are aware of him feel a little bit more connected. Something about Lee, I mean, very motivated, service, you know, he has a long pedigree in politics, but...
Former Democrat turned Republican.
Yep, I think, you know, that argument in the industry is that it always is kind of held against you for those that know that.
Unless you're Reagan.
Unless you're Reagan. And he did it a long time ago. I mean, he made that switch and was, you know, suddenly a Republican getting elected. So it's a little different for him. But I think it's going to be a race to watch. You know, Horsford's not the best campaigner, but there's something about the Lee campaigns that don't connect either.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. He's got a good staff on this one. I think he's got the right organization. We'll have to see how it goes. But of course, you know, the restructuring of the districts gives Horsford a bit of an advantage, more so than he had previously.
Well, and there is the unraveling of the Republican Party.
What?
It's
I hadn't heard
think it's going
that.
to be a bigger problem, I think, in 2024 because it's such a stratified party now. And
well, how about let's just start with the caucus and the primary. I mean, what in the world? It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
Well, Republicans have had a hard run for over 10 years in this state. I think...
except 2014.
As a former Republican, I ran away from the party because the party had run away from me. And so you have all of these independents, now over 700,000 in the state, so many of them refugee Republicans, that just scratch their head. They don't see anything that they can identify there.
But has that not always been the way? You know, haven't we always seen two sides of the Republican Party in the state, which is you had the Republican base, the people who go to the Central Committee meetings, et cetera, and they are the loyal base, and then you have the centrist Republicans that are kind of run by the business community, and they kind of had their own candidates. You know, I don't think that you saw Brian Sandoval going to a lot of Central Committee meetings, right? I mean, he certainly went to, you know, some, you know, very conservative groups when he was running for governor, because I was actually at one of them and saw him in action, which was a Brian Sandoval I'd never seen before, a very excited candidate at that time. But it seems like there's always been a dual structure for the Republican Party in the state.
Well, the remarkable thing is you could easily run without party endorsement or party support and win. That's also been another defect of the Republican Party in the state.
Yeah, I don't think Kenny Gwynn ever went to any of those meetings either.
No, but so you speak to a very valid point, but I don't know, there at least used to be a tolerance. They could be in the same room, and now it's just It's almost like a very extreme party. And of course, being run by Donald Trump, pulling the strings here for the caucus. I think the caucus is going to do them a lot of damage. We're going through, we have, I guess, some candidates that will trigger a primary for the Republicans, but it's a showcase only. And so I think Republican voters are going to be very confused about what they're doing and what impact they're having. But doing the primary is a lot easier than participating in a Republican caucus. So I actually think you'll see a lot of Republicans show up and participate.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back after this timeout. To be seen.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Remember 2010 in northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, slashed bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving northern Nevada one industry at a time.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
It's the $200,000 Cars and Cash giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Cash and prize drawings Thursdays and Saturdays. Plus, win a 2023 Ford F-150 or we'll pay you cash instead. Don't miss your chance to play and win. Cars and Cash at the Carson Valley Inn.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Fred Lokken. He's professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College. Ranked choice voting. I know I'm going to irritate some very good friends of mine, but when I get on an airline and the flight attendant comes over and says, "What would you like for dinner?" And I say, "I'd like the chicken, please." And they say, "Well, what's your second choice?" And I say, "I don't want a second choice, I want the chicken." "Oh, no, you have to have a second choice." Well, ranked choice voting kind of strikes me like that, is I want to vote for a candidate. I don't want to have to come up with, we have a hard enough time getting, you said a third of the electorate doesn't even go vote now. And do you think ranked choice voting is going to get more people to the polls? I don't think so.
Well, our voter participation is much worse than that. That's a good voting. Ranked choice voting is the dumbest idea since dirt.
Okay.
I hate it with every fiber of my existence.
Okay.
It's being foisted upon the voters of Nevada, like so many of these ballot initiatives. I'm getting sick and tired of people outside of the state telling us what we should be doing. We're the great place to experiment. And an amazing amount of money being spent for it, but you know where it's being used, which is almost never anywhere. I mean, this is not a hot idea. This is not even an up-and-comer at the moment. But as many as 18% of the ballots are exhausted because of the number of mistakes that are made in not filling out the ovals correctly. So you disenfranchise 18% of your voters, and correctly. We're lucky if they have a choice, but they don't have 5 choices. You're going to see Nevada voters, they're close to approving this. I pushed very hard in the last legislative session to get a partial open primary. That would
be great.
So the independents have some place to land. You know, it's a very good thing for both parties. But that would have killed, because they've never advertised ranked choice voting. They've only promoted the partial open primary to the independent voters that are voting for this idea. But we're all going to hate it. We're going to get stuck with it, and then we're going to have to try to get rid of it. And we could save a lot of time by just voting down that issue this year. I don't know if I'm clear about how I feel about this. Please let me expound if I need to.
We'll give you another half hour. Dina Titus, after the last election cycle where she had a competitor and was irritated about how her district had been carved up, but she won mightily. I don't think there's any doubt that she's likely to win mightily this time.
I agree. Actually, certainly it was a more painful campaign than she expected, but she actually ran a campaign, and it turned out to be a very good one. And in a way, she built a bigger base that the party did her a little bit of a favor. I think they always had confidence that she'd win the election, but for her it was just, it was easy coasting in, and she actually had to do something. But I think I think the Democrats generally in 2024 in Nevada are looking at the right issues, abortion and other, are going to get out the vote. We have an economy that will decide it, I think, if it's still improving or if it somehow slides back. But I think the Democrats are sitting in a better position than the Republicans right now.
I think it all comes down to get out the vote.
That could be.
And that's where we have to leave it. Fred Lokken, always a pleasure, sir. And we'll be right back.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Calamity. It lurks around every corner. Or not. That's why UMC Quick Care is around every corner, with locations around the valley. UMC Quick Care, for all your small calamities.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Nevada Newsmakers Goes to Washington is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. NV Energy. NV Energy proudly serves Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, offering the highest level of care in Nevada.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can catch us online 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com, or you can download the podcast wherever you like to get your podcast. We'll see you on the next broadcast.